So here we are, on the banks of the Yamuna River, one of the holiest rivers in India. We managed to leave our job for 1 week to get some much needed air from a world that has become quite heavy and dense with meaningless spreadsheets and PowerPoint presentations. A question is lurking at the back of our minds though. Can we actually be spiritual in a 9-to-5 job? Or do we have to leave everything behind to enjoy this peace and freedom that we feel in our hearts in this very moment? To answer that question, it's important to understand 3 things. First, what does it mean to be spiritual? Second, why do we suddenly find ourselves craving meaning in our lives? And third, why has it become so difficult to connect with this peace that pervades everything? So let's start with the basics. What does it mean to be spiritual? You should know that we are not the only people that are asking this question. Long before it has been asked by the great mystics and sages, it has been asked time and time again. Long before us, a young seeker named Nachiketa, a boy living in the grasslands of ancient India, stood before Yama, the god of death, with the very same question burning in his chest. What does it mean to truly live a spiritual life? Yama hesitated at first. He said, "This question is difficult to answer even for the gods." He offered him everything the world chases: wealth, power, comfort, even celestial pleasures. But Nachiketa refused them all. He replies saying, "All pleasures fade. Teach me only that truth which does not decay." And so Yama, the god of death, revealed a secret that echoes through the Upanishads, that the spiritual life is not about escaping the world, but choosing what is true over what is merely pleasant. To choose truth over comfort in today's world means being willing to face the parts of yourself you'd rather avoid, your insecurities, your jealousy, your craving for validation, your need to control everything around you. It means admitting when your ambition isn't coming from purpose, but maybe from fear of not being enough. It means recognizing when you want to be the best, not because you love the work, but because you're terrified of feeling ordinary. Choosing truth is uncomfortable because it forces you to see your shadows clearly, the anger you suppress, the expectations that exhaust you, the patterns that keep repeating in your life. So in the most simple of terms, spirituality is the movement of awareness from the surface to the depth of who you are, bringing your whole self into awareness, beginning with the parts of you that you suppress or rather keep unconscious. In other words, spirituality is not found by abandoning cities, careers, or responsibilities. It is found by refusing to abandon your inner life while living among these cities and careers and responsibilities. Nachiketa didn't run away from the world. He simply refused to trade his soul for distractions. And maybe that's why his question still feels alive on these riverbanks today. Because the real challenge is not to find peace in the Himalayas. It's to carry that peace back into the noise, the deadlines, and the fluorescent lights of your everyday work life. Now for the second question. Why do we suddenly find ourselves craving meaning in our lives? And at what point did our ability to connect with our inner world begin to fade? If you trace it through history, the answer is pretty simple. Human beings have always tried to make life more comfortable. From the Stone Age to the age of Silicon Valley, we've been moving away from danger towards safety, food, shelter, stability. Eventually, civilization itself was built on the promise of comfort. Prosperity became defined by material wealth. So generation after generation, we were taught to chase the external, a bigger house, a better job, more money, more status, more things. Slowly, more became our worldview. But the more we chased outwardly, the more disconnected we became inside ourselves. Each era added new layers on top of who we are, new desires, new thoughts, new stresses, new expectations, and just as many new emotions to repress. Over centuries, all this unprocessed material didn't disappear. It sank into what psychologists call the collective unconscious, a vast reservoir under the surface of our awareness. Today, most of us are living at the very tip of that iceberg, far away from the deeper essence of who we really are, and yet something inside us keeps tapping on the walls, reminding us that there is more beneath the noise. That quiet longing, that ache for meaning, is simply the truth of our nature calling us back. So let's turn to the third and final question. Why has it become so difficult to connect with this peace that pervades everything, this peace that we experience here on the beautiful banks of the Yamuna River? Because the modern mind is no longer shaped for silence. It's shaped for stimulation. For most of human history, the rhythm of life was slow. Days started and ended with the sun, not with the notifications on your iPhone. People spent hours in natural stillness, walking, cooking, sitting, waiting, watching. The mind had space to breathe. Thoughts had time to settle. Emotions had a place to flow. But in the last century, something changed. We didn't just build technology. We built a new individual and collective nervous system around it. We live in an age where our attention is pulled in 100 directions before breakfast, where the mind is fed more information in a single day than our ancestors processed in a whole year, where silence isn't rare, it's almost threatening, where every empty moment gets filled automatically with a screen, a scroll, a message, a distraction. Peace hasn't disappeared. We've simply lost the capacity to notice it, to connect with it. Our minds are like water that's constantly shaken. It's always full of movement, full of ripples. Even if peace surrounds us like the waters of the Yamuna River, we can't perceive it when the surface inside of us is so disturbed. And that is the paradox of our time. We are not suffering from a lack of peace. We are suffering from a surplus of noise. This is why even after achieving stability or success in our jobs, so many people say to themselves, I don't feel anything. It's not that life has become harder. It's that our minds have become louder. And in that loudness, the quiet truth of who we are, the deeper presence that has always been there, gets drowned out. So how do we bring all of this together? The ancient story of Nachiketa says, spirituality is choosing truth over comfort. Modern culture says, comfort is everything, truth is optional. But the 9-to-5 world is not the enemy. It is simply the modern battlefield, a modern test similar to the test Nachiketa had to go through. You don't need to quit your job to be spiritual. You need to stop outsourcing your consciousness and sense of identity to your job. You need to reclaim small moments of truth inside large systems of distraction. When you respond to an email from integrity instead of impulse, when you refuse to sacrifice your inner truth for external approval, when you choose honesty over performance. This is how you carry the Yamuna River inside your office. This is how the mythic and the modern can coexist. Spirituality is not a place you go to. It's a place you return to within yourself again and again and again. So let me bring you back to the beginning. How can we be spiritual in a 9-to-5 job? Maybe the answer is simpler than we think. Maybe spirituality at work is not about chanting mantras in the break room or quitting your job to live by a river or escaping the rhythm of a city. Maybe it's about remembering, even for a moment, that beneath everything you do, there is a quiet depth waiting for you. A depth that doesn't ask for perfection, only sincerity. A depth that doesn't demand silence around you, only silence within you. A depth that doesn't care about your title or your performance, only your presence. Spirituality then becomes less about changing your life and more about showing up to the life you already have with a little more honesty, a little more awareness, and a little more truth. Tonight, before you sleep, ask yourself, What truth, even a small one, did I choose today? And when the answer rises, don't judge it, don't explain it, don't push it away. Just listen, because that small truth, whispered quietly from somewhere deep inside you, is the Yamuna river flowing through your own heart. It is the same truth that pulled Nachiketa toward Yama, the god of death. The same truth that still calls to you beneath the noise. The same truth that will follow you tomorrow into your emails, your meetings, your deadlines. And if you can hear it, even once a day, then you are already living spiritually right there in your 9 to 5.